Worship Walk.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Worship Walk. I'm so glad to be back just to talk to you guys, just to share a few things with you guys. The last few months have been crazy, like really crazy, in a good way, not in a bad way. Rather, they don't really talk about, and it is their testimony. I feel like I have a big testimony that I could share, man. It's crazy, and I just really want to overcome the enemy today. The Bible says that we overcome the enemy by our testimony. And I want to do that today. I want to share with you guys a little bit of my story, just kind of how, my life was. A lot of people talk about believing in God and believing in Jesus and, change your life this, change your life that, or, you can do this, you can be better at this, you can, it may sound so great, but it's just like, why do that? Why be a part of that, force or that calling or, whatever it is. My hair is sticking up, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, like to change my life. Why obey this God? I don't know who this God is. I want to talk about my story a little bit. I grew up in Portland, Oregon. Oregon, a lot of people, you don't know Oregon. Oregon is a place where it's like good for senior citizens and a place to like raise children. You know what I'm saying? It's not really like California or New York or Atlanta. It's not really like a big place where you just go see things and do a lot of things. When I grew up, it was a little more fun, but as I got a little older, it was like boring all the time. And, I come from a family of 5. So I'm the only boy. I have 4 sisters. You can only imagine what that was like. There was a lot going on in the house all the time. My dad, him and my mom, they were together at times, but they weren't always together at times. We went through divorce, at a young age. I'll say maybe I had to be about 11, 12 years old. Watch that go down. Sometimes I would hear my mom and dad argue, all the time, and I would hear stories in the morning about what happened last night or, things that shouldn't have happened, what to do next time. A lot of times I would hear my mom crying, and I'm pretty sure they both said things to each other that, wasn't right or wasn't good. And of course, we've grown from that now, but just in those moments, being a 11-year-old, 12-year-old, it was really hard to grow up in a house where there was always arguing, So me and my sisters, we fought all the time, brothers, sisters type of thing, but I was the only boy. I did all the stinky, nasty boy stuff. My sisters, they were different, and sometimes I would do things and say it wasn't me, and then we would all get in trouble. Sometimes I would, just think everything was funny. Sometimes I still think everything is funny, but I like to laugh, you know what I'm saying? So I would joke a lot. I would do a lot of things, but I felt like I was really misunderstood a lot of the times, where I really, didn't understand how to convey my emotions or my feelings done, or to just explain, how I felt. So I would lash out and do things like, knowing children do. I was a scared little boy. I was scared for a lot of stuff. I was worried about, my dad, doing something to my mom. I was worried about my mom doing something to my dad. I was worried that we would not just be a family or be together. And so as a kid, we went through a lot in the house, but it was like, on the other hand, while going through all this stuff in the house, we were going to church all the time. We were at church, Sunday, Bible study on Tuesday, Wednesday night, choir rehearsal. My dad, he was a musician, slash, pastor slash elder, slash, prophet now. He's been in ministry for a very long time. But as a child, he was always on the organ. He was always the minister of music, at church. And growing up as a kid, he was really locally famous. He knew a lot of people. A lot of people knew him. A lot of people wanted him to sing. A lot of people wanted him to direct the choir and just be their entertainment in the church world, I would say, in Portland. And so as a kid, I grew up going to many churches with him or watching him perform. He even had concerts at high schools. He was the director of certain high school choirs. And my family, we would go watch him, and we would watch him in performance. And he would get standing ovations. Like, he was a crazy performer. He could sing, like, really, really, really well. And he would kill it, like, almost every single time. And with me watching that, I kind of idolized him. Like, I wanted to be just like him. You know what I'm saying? But at home, I would hear arguments. I would hear fighting. Or it was like a totally different father outside of home versus the father, in the home. And I didn't really understand that at that age. I understand it now only due to, how we grow up and we understand, more about our lives when we were younger. But at the time, my dad, with me knowing this now, my dad, he was just young. He was young, with 5 kids, and he had to navigate all of that. I can only imagine how hard it was, trying to live his dream and, do whatever he was called to do, but deal with children and a wife at home, that was different than him. And my mom, I feel like she suffered for that. I feel like she went through a lot, just due to that type of mindset, that type of pain. Whether he was not right in his mind at the time or whether she was not right in her mind at the time, I felt like she was a victim, of a lot of the suffering, a lot of the choices that were made in the family, even by my father or by, you know, their parents, just leading them into, marriage, all these different factors of them being together and possibly not being ready. I think they just went through a lot and it caused them to separate. And so, of course, they divorced, and, it was like a train wreck, you know, I would say for me after that. I didn't really understand life because I wanted my family to be together, and I didn't understand how my family wasn't together. It didn't make sense. And so at a young age, I would pray to God. I would ask God to put my family together because we went to church all the time and they talked about God. They talked about, of course, Jesus, but I really didn't understand, church. I just knew we went, and I knew I wanted to play the drums because, I love music, and I love music now. I'm actually a singer. I play music. I can play a lot more than 2 instruments, but that was just the beginning of like my relationship with God. I would say I would pray to God, and I would believe that He would bring my family together. So anytime I saw my family coming together, it gave me joy. It made me happy. Whether my dad was coming over or whether we had a meeting, like whether we did all these things, my dad is so funny. He would have these long 5-hour meetings that we would be like falling asleep in. Like, he'll be saying, the Lord is going to bless us. And I'll be like, oh, like, here we go again. But I was so happy that my family was together. And it was just like a thing for me. Family has always been a thing for me. Like, as I talked about before, it kind of led to me like just not really paying attention in life, not really focusing on what I should be focusing on. And so school became an issue for me. I hated school. I hated talking to teachers. I didn't like to be told what to do at that time. I just wanted to go to school and finish because that was just where we had to go. It always seemed like we had to go somewhere. Like, you got to go to school or go outside and play. You know what I'm saying? Like, after school was over, it was never, for me, I would say, my understanding of it all was just always like, go do this, go do that. So I kind of treated it like that. Like, I'm just going. I'm just going to go. And when the bell rings, I go to lunch, then I go back to class. Some classes I did well in because I felt like, teachers, they had they had knowledge of teaching and knowledge of knowing how to engage with certain children. But some of my teachers, I would go in there and I would just be like, but I had this attitude like I thought I knew everything. And I don't know if it's because I would say I grew up kind of fast due to me being the only boy and having to take a fathership role at a young age as far as knowing how to help around the house or, being told to do manly duties around the house, and I was going through a lot. I was going through a lot at school. I was going through a lot at home. And the suffering began to start for me because my dad wasn't around and I was the only boy. A lot of the times in my viewpoint of it all, I always felt like I didn't want to be the bad guy that my dad was made out to be. And it started with a lot of times, my family members just saying, you just like your dad, or you look just like your dad, or you sang just like your dad. Everything was always like, you're just like your father. Every single thing that I did, every move I made, even when I did something bad, or when I argued, or when I talked back, from my mom, even to my sisters, they would tell me, you sound like dad, or you sound just like dad, or you act just like dad. And I grew up trying so hard not to be like him because I felt like if I was going to continue to be like this person, it would ruin my life, or I would ruin somebody else's life because they were actually hurting because he wasn't around. My mom was actually hurting because he wasn't around. And I really didn't understand at the time. I just thought everybody's saying I act like that and I don't. I'm me, you know what I'm saying? And so me working so hard to try to not be like him, it made me act like him even more. And I noticed through, elementary, through middle school, and it started more so in middle school, I became this performer. And it's like this performance was the very thing that made me happy about myself. Because I thought, my dad, everybody knows my dad, and, family saying this about me. I'm a bad child. I'm very bright though, as teachers would love to say. He's such a bright student, but he just is disruptive sometimes. He beats on the desk, he sings in class. And it's like I was doing all this music. I was always a performer, even in the classroom. I would make the class laugh. Like, all these different ways of performance begin to rest on me. And I didn't understand that that's what was already resting on my father. That performance mentality. And I used that to gain friends or to, just have peace at school. I didn't have nice clothes. My mom, she did the best she could. Without two is better than one. Without having, both parents in your life, it could be hard financially, and it was for us. So I didn't have all the nice clothes. My sisters, they look fresh, but that's only because my older sisters had jobs and they gave hand me downs to some of them, and it was a lot of stuff going on with clothes, but I always felt like I was left out, and I would get hand me downs from like people at church. So sometimes my shoes wasn't like Air Force Ones, or they wasn't, the new Jordans. I had some church shoes or some regular weird tennis shoes, or my mom even went into the Payless store and bought me Shacks. I actually had Shacks, the Dunk Mans, with the dunk on the side of the shoe. You know what I'm saying? And in Portland, you couldn't wear Shacks because if you wore Shacks, you was just, they knew you was broke. And kids talked about me all the time. You know what I'm saying? So I had to have something. And it really wasn't even like that. Like I just had to, like I just needed to pick performance. Like I just wanted to perform. It's just when I performed, I noticed that there was a different like appreciation for me from aside from me just going to school, aside from me just being around. I had to make somebody laugh. I had to sing for a girl. I had to do something to gain friendship or gain respect in life. And out of that, it's like I grew this performance mindset that I have to know everything about performers, artists, music people, people at church, people who do this, people who that. I came accustomed to learning so much about everything that had to deal with performance, whether it was comedy, whether it was this, whether it was that. And I began to want to be like Michael Jackson, or want to be like a star. That was like something I thought I was going to be. Even though I wasn't good in school in some classes, I thought, well, if I don't do good in school, I can always be something. There's people who didn't go to college and ended up being famous, and I always would watch them on TV, and I thought, man, I could possibly do this because my family's broke. I, don't have any friends. My family's separate. What is the best option for me? I didn't want to grow up and be a firefighter or a policeman or a doctor, or because the components that were missing in my life, it was like I had to prove something. I needed it to be huge. I needed it to be big. And on top of that, the Lord gave me, which is what I found out later, He gave me the gift to sing. He gave me the gift to write, the gift to basically perform. He gave me that gift, but I didn't know that I was going to end up using it for the wrong reasons. And so as life went on, just coming from that childhood, and it's like when people begin to see me perform, they started to say, you could be something, or you could do this. Or certain conversations we had, it was always like, man, you know what you're talking about, or dang, man, that's my son. Or then it turned into, that's my son, or that's my nephew, that's my cousin, that's my, this my dog, this my friend, because they all thought I was going to be something. And so as I got older, I began to play drums at church, and I became the main drummer of one of the churches I was going to. And I remember sitting there, and it's like I was sitting there, and there was like this moment, and I believe it was the Holy Spirit that just pressed on me and was asking me to share something. And I was like, yo, why is this happening right now? I can't believe it. And I said, and it was about the youth, and it was about, helping the youth, about doing something for the youth at my church. And I remember, because I was sitting there and I said, Lord, I literally looked down at the drum set, and I said, God, if you want me to say something, prove it. I need you to prove it, God. If you really want me to say this, because I know I'm hearing something tell me to say something. I know I'm in church, and I know this is not some random person just speaking in my ear. And I was like, well, like me, like I said, me now, I know it was the Holy Spirit back then. But when I was sitting in the building, I was confused. I was like, what the heck did I just hear? Like, I just heard something. And I remember I was sitting there and I said, Lord, if this is you, I need you to prove it. Make a way for me to say what you want me to say. And it's funny because I was a drummer at the church, but at the time, everybody knew I could sing. And people sometimes they would ask me to sing. And out of nowhere, I kid you not, the pastor gets up and he goes, Anthony. And I'm like, what? Like he goes, Anthony, I just need you to come up here and sing that song you sing. And I used to sing that, I love you, Jesus. I worship and adore you. Like, that's the song I would choose every time I would sing. And he loved that song. And he asked me to sing it. And I would be like, okay. Every time he asked me to sing, I'll be like, okay, I got you, because I'm in front of all these people. I don't want to be like, no. You know what I'm saying? I ain't singing for your stupid church. Like, I don't want to be like that. And I would get up and I would just sing, But the Lord will move. It was like I will always notice the worship of God moving forward every time I would sing that song. But I just, thought I was singing in church because I knew how to sing. That's what, people do, especially people more so in my culture. You can sing, they just gonna call you up there and you better sing something, you better kill it. That's kind of like how I grew up in churches where I was at. And so, I got up and I said, you know what? I just got to say one thing. And I told them what the Lord was sharing with me. And they couldn't believe it. They was like in awe when I was talking about the youth and talking about how we have to reach the youth and how we need to start bringing the youth into the church and care about the youth of the church. And it's like ever since then, I began to hear God's voice in a different way. And the crazy thing about it is I always was dealing with a lot of things in my life just due to, it was like the divorce and stuff was the beginning, but even in that process of going to school and, trying to hang with friends and trying to, be around and be the cool guy and always envy like the guy who got all the girls. I have 4 sisters. But I always had this mindset of like, I don't want to turn out, liking guys, or I never had that mindset. I never fought with that. And so I always wanted to, basically get married. And like I said, I wanted to never be the guy to hurt someone or ruin their life. Like people in my family may have felt like my dad did to my mom. And I always wanted to be that guy. I always wanted to be the good guy. So I would do all these good guy things, whether it was trying to take a girl out or trying to, be with somebody and treat them nice and love on them and do all the right things. I wanted to be this guy. And so I would take girls out on dates. And I would try to wine and dine them because I thought that's what the good guy did from watching movies. And this is what was just in me. It wasn't something that I watched them and I wanted to be like the guy in the movie, but usually some of the guys in the movie who got the girls, they was always the cool dude, you know what I'm saying? But I like to be more romantic. I wanted to be the opposite. And I wanted to be a champion for being that guy, you know what I'm saying? And I thought the girls will love that. I really did. I was like, man, if I just treat her right, because, I'm going through all these things at home. My sister had a boyfriend. I felt like he didn't treat her right. And I was just like, man, I want to be a different guy. So I remember trying to talk to different girls. And it's like every single girl put me in the friend zone. You know, I thought, man, it's because I'm fat, huh? Or it's because I'm ugly, or it's because I'm this, it's because I'm that, it's because I'm this. And maybe some of the times, according to them, maybe it was. Maybe they was like, oh, he chubby. I don't like no chubby dude. Or, he ain't that cute. Like, I don't really like that. You know what I'm saying? And so some, girls, you know how they be. But I thought I was doing something. I'll take them out, take them to dinner. And my sisters would be like, they're using you. Like, they're always using you. And I just didn't care. I just wanted to be loved. You know what I'm saying? And so I remember one time, I was on the bus and I just got fed up with all the girls dodging me. I got fed up with life. I got fed up with my family. I hated being around. I just didn't want to. I felt alone. And I felt like this is where depression kind of set in. And I remember being on the bus and I just said, Lord, I said, God, I only want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to nobody else. And I believe I was probably about 17 at this time. And I said, I don't want to talk to anybody else, God. I just want to talk to you. I just, I just want to talk to you, God. I'm literally on the bus and I said this. And out of nowhere, I heard a voice. It was like a voice that came and said, go into that 7-Eleven. The bus was pulling up on a 7-Eleven. And the voice said, go into that 7-Eleven and tell the people that there's a bomb in there. Because there's a bomb in 7-Eleven. And I'm sitting up here like, really? You want me to do that? Like, for real? Like, this is crazy. Like, there's a bomb in 7-Eleven? And I'm sitting there on the bus. And the funny thing is, like, I was about to get off the bus. I'm like, there's a bomb. And I hear the voice say, yeah, go tell them it's a bomb in 7-Eleven. Like, it's something in there. Go in there. And I was too scared to get off the bus. And I stayed on the bus. And I was like, this is not right. I don't know what it is, but like I'm not going to tell them it's a bomb on it. I was afraid. And out of nowhere, I heard another voice say, that's not me. And when I heard the voice say, that's not me, I felt so much relief just over my mind, my body, just saying that voice was not mine. That voice was not me. And that was all I heard. I didn't hear nothing else. It wasn't like he was like, that was the devil's voice or that was somebody else's voice. It could have just been my voice and my thoughts in my head. I just was thinking probably God is going to tell me to do something great today if I ask him to hear his voice. And when I heard that's not me, I was like, man, it's crazy. And that was the first time I heard God's voice. The first time I ever heard God's voice. And, I would pray and ask questions, and I felt like he talked to me before, so why wouldn't he talk to me again? And so I would just talk all the time. And I did not hear God's voice. I didn't hear him. And I would wonder why I can't hear your voice, or why aren't you talking to me? Or, I would try to make scenarios in my mind of, all these things, because God blessed me with the ability to overthink. Even in my mind, I would come up with scenarios that I would think, oh, the Lord told me to do that. I would talk to myself. But I really couldn't hear it. I really couldn't hear the Lord, So, I just kept, waking up every day, going to school. And when I would go to school, I would catch the bus, and I would catch the bus. And so this is probably about I would say maybe I'm 17, so I was about a junior in high school. And I was going on the bus, man. I was walking to the bus stop as normally in the morning. I would get up early and I would go. And this lady walks up to the bus with a limp. And she has a cane. And I'm sitting here just looking at her like, man, she got a cane. Like, she can't really walk. And all I hear is, pray for her leg. And I'm like, yo, the same was pressed up on me like real hard. Like I was like when I was in the church service. And it was pressed upon me, and I was like, yo. And I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, this is weird. I'm not praying for this lady's leg. And I just heard, step out on faith. Step out on faith. And I stood there for like 20 more. I'm telling you, the bus was late today. I'm like, why is the bus taking so long? And I'm just sitting there like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm literally fighting like, no, that's not God telling me to do that. But I kept just feeling the pressure of like, step out on faith. You can pray for a leg. And I looked at that lady and I said, excuse me, ma'am, in all irritation. I said, do you believe in God? And she said, yes, I do. And I was like, oh, snap. And she was like, I was like, can I pray for you? And she was like, yes, you sure can. You know, she sounded like she's from Texas or something, but she was living in Portland. And she was like, yes, you sure can. And I was like, you know what? And when I said that, the Lord told me, or this voice told me, I didn't know it was the Lord until later, but this voice told me to pray for the other side. Not the side she was limping on, but pray for the other side. And so I went over to her and I just prayed and I laid hands on her and I prayed. And the crazy thing, bro, when the bus came, she walked on the bus without the cane. It was like her own faith was lifted in that moment. She walked on the bus without the cane. Now, this lady was limping slow. She looked like she's about 50 years old, 45 to 50. And she gets on the bus without the cane, not even really struggling. And I'm like, I know this didn't just happen like before my eyes. Like, this is crazy. And I'm the only person here. And she the only person here. And I told her my name like after I prayed for her. And so we get on the bus and we're just riding down the bus and I'm listening to my music. I had the little nano iPod. Y'all remember the little squares? And I used to just listen to all this music and I'm listening to Baby, I Will Wait For You. Like, you remember that song? I'm listening to all these weird, songs / alternative rock music songs. And out of nowhere, I just hear, thanks, Anthony. Thank you. And I look up, like, who the heck was that? First of all, I'm hearing voices. I'm already tripping in my mind. I don't know what's going on. When I looked out the bus window, I was looking around who said my name. And she was walking totally different as the bus, because I had to stay on the bus because I had to go to school. She was walking totally different. And she was holding on to her cane. And she was walking. So whether it stirred up her faith or whether she was healed, I don't even know. But I believe that woman felt something totally different that day. And that was like the second time or the third time that the Lord spoke to me. And I've seen results, and I was in shock, and I was like, see, bro, in that moment, I was just thinking, see, can't nobody tell me that God is not real. Or like, God is not real. And I'm serving Jesus when I go to church. I'm praying to him, so it has to be him. I'm literally thinking this, I'm like, there's no possible way, dude. Like, no possible way. And I'm having all these crazy experiences in my own world. I even went home and told my mom about it. And I remember, and she was just like, man, telling me God has blessed you. He's favored you. Like, man, you got power on your life. And, my dad was a pastor. My dad, he was already in church and he had a relationship with God. And I believe he did. He just struggled with a lot of things. And, my mama too. My mama prayed. She was she still go to church to this day. You know what I'm saying? And it's not so much about the church building. You know what I'm saying? But they have had their own praying relationships through the situations they've been through. And my grandpa was a pastor. So it was like everything was passed down. If not to me, you know what I'm saying? I was experiencing all these things at a young age. And so I began to just pray more and try to the Lord's voice more. But I was only 17. And I still had a lot of stuff that I was dealing with. A lot of stuff I was going. Got picked on at school. I flunked out of school because I didn't get good enough grades. I wanted to be on the basketball team. I got cut almost every single time that I tried out. I made the team one time, but I couldn't play because they found out I had bad grades. A lot of things happened to me. And here I was, a senior graduating from an alternative school because I got kicked out of school and I had to go to a different school. And I thought I wasn't going to graduate, but I ended up graduating on time due to help from a lot of my teachers and a lot of from my sisters. Crazy, they did a lot of my assignments for me and helped me the last minute. I don't know if y'all remember Play-Doh. It was this thing called Play-Doh, and you would get on Play-Doh to try to get your credits back. And I had to do Play-Doh. I almost didn't pass, but my teacher gave me all these packets. She gave me like 40 packets. And was like, you do all these packets, then I'll make sure you graduate. And I was struggling. I didn't understand. But I got into this performance mode because everybody knew that I could do that. And that's what I was good. I wasn't good at, all these other things, but I was good at performing. And so I remember after I graduated, I was also in this program called Friends of Children. It was like, the big brother, big sister program. I was in that program from kindergarten all the way to 18. Mentor would come get me. And, like I said, my dad wasn't around. So my mentors was kind of like fathers. I was able to reconnect with them later down the line, after I left high school, because you graduate the program at 18. And so when I graduated the program at 18, I was out of the program. And I was graduated from school. So I was out of school and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I had to figure out if I was going to go to college or not. And so my sister was already in college. And I wanted to go to college. And I was thinking, man, maybe I can go to school with her, But I still had second thoughts because I was thinking, man, maybe I'm not smart enough. I just left the alternative school. I didn't think it was going to work, honestly. I'm telling you. And I just performed, played drums somewhere, tried to get a job. I was already making a little money playing for the church. And, my sister was telling me, put in an application. My mom was saying, we're going to put in an application. Just do it. Just try. Just see. I put in an application. Next thing you know, I got accepted into college. And I was praying. I was like, God, please help me get in school. Lord, I don't want to be a failure. I don't want to be all these things. I'm praying to God, worried about this, worried about that. And they was like, you have been accepted into Benedict College. I went to school. And I went to school in South Carolina. Of course, Portland, when you think of Portland, Oregon, South Carolina is all the way over here. And I had to fly from Portland all the way to South Carolina every, summer, Christmas. But it was hard. It was hard even getting the plane ticket. Like I told you, my mom, she was by herself. She struggled. She couldn't just do everything. We had to, even for prom, even for a lot of things that I went through. Financially, it was just not there. It was very difficult. And so I was just like always confused about that. Trying to figure out where I was going to get the money from. Trying to figure out how we going to do this, how we going to do this, how we going to do that. And so when I got to school, I was willing to give up already because we did not have the money for me to live on campus. When I got to school, I had to do financial aid. Of course, you had to get the master promissory note. You had to go through financial aid to get, all your stuff done, all your books, everything that you need for just for school, period. But the school specifically would not let you live on campus if you did not have all the money that you needed to have. You had to get on a payment plan. You couldn't just go to school, as a lot of who are in college. Some schools have ways where if you don't have every single dime, you got to get on a payment plan to go to that school and to get classes. But this school was a little different. you would get classes, but they wouldn't give you room and board. So you had to find a way to make it to class because your classes is already given to you because you got accepted through financial aid. But if you didn't have all the money, they wouldn't let you live on campus. Now, I'm a freshman. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and I'm an out-of-state student. And I'm trying to stay on campus because my sister's here. She stays on campus. We had to fly all the way, but I can't keep flying every day just to go to class. What am I going to do? So, I didn't have any money. I didn't know where I was going to get the money from. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was stuck. I was stuck there, sitting there, praying. I was reaching out to my dad. I was asking, my mom for money, trying to get it. And she was like, son, I don't have it. She was telling me she don't have it. And I just was praying. I remember sitting there on the rock, just praying, God, help me get this money. Lord, help me get the money that I need to go to school. I ain't going to be nothing, Lord. I ain't going to do this And that was another moment. I called my dad and he answered. And I was like, Dad, I need $50. I think I really needed $100. But I needed $50 from him. And he was like, son, I'm going to send it to you. And I was like, oh, thank God. My mom and dad, they weren't together. I would try to call him sometimes, but it was hard, me calling him. He sent me the money that I needed. And that was one time my dad came through for me, and I remember that. He sent me $50 and somebody else gave me some money. I can't remember who exactly it was. It could have been anybody, but I can't remember who it was, but I know God sent that person as well. And I was able to get the money, and I think it was like $101. I'm like, now why is it $101? And so they give you the paper where you can check for all the installments. Like $2.99, 6 installments. $99, 12 installments. 100, you know what I'm saying? And I just picked the last one. I think it was like 101 with tax or whatever. And I was, I'm from Portland. We don't got tax. So it was like $101 or something. So I checked it off. I paid it. And I got to go to my room. And I was so excited. I was a freshman. I was new. And I was like, I went to alternative school. In high school, I'm not finna mess this up. I need to go to class. I'm gonna make sure I'm on time. Make sure I get up. And my freshman year, I did really good. I went to class, doing all these things. And, I went to class, knew my teachers, passed the freshman classes, got through it. Sophomore year came, did good. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't really like making friends like that. I didn't have that many clothes. I wasn't really known on campus. But sophomore year came, did good again. I was doing, and this is the first semester sophomore year. I was doing pretty good. And I found out that they had a choir on campus. And I didn't know about it because I was just thinking, oh, some, South Carolina choir, after me hearing everybody voices, just talking to them, I was just thinking like, oh yeah, there's some country old choir probably, I'm gonna just see if I can play the drums. And so I found a flyer and it was saying they have practice tonight. And I was like, let me just go see if they, need a drummer. Because I was already playing the drums at church and I just thought I could play the drums. And so I went there. This is probably about my sophomore year, maybe coming to the end of the first semester. I went to tryouts and I was playing the drums. I tried to get on there for a little bit, and the dude was just like, he was snapping. Like, come on, like make sure you stay on point, stay on tempo. And so I was like, okay, bro, just play simple. Just play set. Just play regular. Don't even try to do no fancy stuff. And so I just played regular, and he was like, man, you pretty good or whatever. And so the other drummer was like, you good, you straight, bro. But you know what I'm saying? He kind of got his team already. And he's like, bro, we'll probably just have you sit on the side just in case I don't show up, or, kind of like a second string drummer pretty much. And I was cool with that because I was like, yeah, I don't really know y'all. I ain't, from here. I'm just here to serve. That's just what I wanted to do. And I remember him having a testimony service. And I was like, yo, they doing testimony. They're doing testimonies, man. He was like, man, if you want to tell your testimony or if you want to sing a song, I want you to just give your testimony. And I'm just like, man, I done been through a lot. You know what I'm saying? Already coming here. I'm all the way from Portland, Oregon. A lot of people don't know me. This is my chance to probably make some friends and just tell somebody who I was. And I wasn't scared. And it's like I just felt pressed upon to sing that song that I sung, I Love You, Jesus. That song, or I think it's called More Than Anything. And I never even knew whose song it was. I didn't even know the artist of the song. I just know we sung it at church. And I stood up and it was like, go ahead. And I told him my name was Anthony. I told him, I said, I just want to sing a little bit of this song. And I sung. And when I sung, it was like worship began to flow through the chapel, because that's where we had the audition, or that's where they had the trials or whatever. And I just sung the song, and it's crazy because I knew I could sing, but I just didn't think I wanted to be on the choir because I kind of felt like it was some, weird stuff going on in the choir. I just didn't really understand all the different dynamics of it and what just being on a traveling choir will look like. And so, I went up to the director and he told me, he was like, bruh, I need you to sing. I need you to join the choir. He's like, you can play the drums. I know that. And I know that's what you came here for, but you need to sing. I need you to join the choir. And I was like, man, dang, okay. That's crazy. And so I started joining the choir. Next thing you know, next year, semester came. I began to write music. And I was already listening to music. And, like I told you, God gave me a gift to write, gave me a gift to sing. And I was already doing these type of things in my own way. But I just didn't get really serious about it. And I finally started writing. And long story short, with that choir, I went up to the director and I was saying, man, I got songs, I'm a writer or whatever. And he let me teach one. And I ended up teaching a song. And I'm just thinking I'm just probably going to get to teach it. Of course, I've been watching choirs all my life. I've been praise team leader back at church and drummer. And I knew how to give parts. I knew how to do all that stuff, especially watching my dad do it, growing up, just ever since. And so it's like I was teaching the parts and I was giving the parts and they began to sing it, man. And the song became so beautiful. It became something great. And it came out of my own worship because I was just worshiping God one day. And, that's how the song came. And out of nowhere, a few weeks later after that, he was like, man, I want you to teach that song. I'm doing this record with these people and I want you to teach your song. And I'm just like, okay. And so I show up to practice. I teach a song. Everybody loves the song. They came up with the instrumentalization or whatever you call it, the music behind it. They came up with it at that practice. And I was just telling them this how it go. This is what I'm hearing in my head. And they just created it. And man, the choir loved the song and I led the song. And the song was called Love Letter. That's the name of the song. And I remember teaching that song. I remember after I did that song, he came to me. He was like, man, we're thinking about putting your song on the radio. We're probably going to put your song on the radio. It was like the number one hit of the entire album that we did because we did a live recording after we had all them practices. And then after they did a live recording, he put it on the radio. I didn't know that I was a part of an award-winning gospel choir until I actually joined the choir. They actually been to competitions, and we went to competition, and I went to competition with them, and then we won the competition. Like, we did How Sweet the Sound. Like, a lot of you guys probably know about that, but I was with this choir, and I was doing all these great things, and I thought I was going to be something. That same performance mind of like, dang man, like I'm singing in front of hundreds and thousands of people, like, you know what I'm saying, like people loving my song, people want my autograph, like all this stuff is happening, and junior year comes, and now it's like I'm the director of one of the choirs, and he allowed me to be the director of the choir, allowed me to be a leader in the choir, and I began to direct, and I began to teach songs, and I began to do more things, and it was like we developed a relationship, and all these things happened, but I still wanted to feel accepted. Or growing up in school, high school, that I never felt from people. I wanted to always be accepted. I was impressionable. Somebody could tell me to do something, I just go do it because I wanted to be their friend, or I wanted to be with the crew. I wanted to join. And I remember one time I was teaching a song, one of the songs that I wrote actually, and I didn't know how many like people I had against me or didn't like me or haters, what people would call it. I knew I was good at the things I did, but I didn't know what having haters actually felt like, or people who just treat you bad just because you actually did good things. I was more so talked about because I didn't have nice shoes or nice things, and I thought it was kind of valid, Um, but this was the one time I actually did something I love doing, and I was talked about, I was laughed at, and I quit the choir. It made me quit because I wanted to be accepted. And I felt like nobody accepted me. I felt like God didn't accept me. I felt like nobody loved me. I felt like everybody hated me. I was fed up with all the stuff I was going through. Fed up with everything that happened. I began hanging around with the wrong crowd. I began smoking and drinking and trying to get with girls. Trying to do anything I could. But I still, even though I went over to the other side of just the party life, I still wasn't accepted. I was still being treated funny. I was still, but it was like, I was just willing to eat the crumbs off the ground, like a dog. I didn't care. I just wanted to be loved by somebody. And I believe this is when the enemy, or some people would say Satan, or the devil came into my life and started to direct my life, started to, really hurt me with things, really make me think I was going to be something that I wasn't going to be. And, I began to meet people, and I began to, it's like all the people that knew me, they all start coming out when I start hanging with the wrong crowd. All the people, they start respecting me. They start saying, oh, bro, you was cold. You could sing. You could write. You fired. You this, you that. So all these people start giving me all this flattery, all the things that I yearned for, all the things that I wanted in friendship. I start meeting all these people who respected me to do this, respect me to do that. Be this guy or the good guy. I don't want to be the good guy anymore. I tried everything. I tried lean. I started drinking lean. I started smoking weed. I was taking Xanax. I fell into pills, smoking out of bongs and bottles and stuff like that. Any type of weed or roach I can get my hands on. I started to do that, and it's like I started to hang around this group, and we called ourselves 287. It was like a group where we would sing R&B, and we would sing for girls, and I remember some of the guys in the group, they was really good at getting girls and good at, hanging around females, and we had our own mindset. We thought we was doing something on campus. We thought we was this, and people knew me from being on the choir. They knew me from the performance or seeing me perform. And when I started doing R&B, when I started singing, nobody had nothing to say. It's like everybody was just so happy that I was doing something different. I was doing something great. And I remember before I even met this group, there was a BET Awards thing that they would do. They would just make the crowd scream and, just do all this crazy stuff. And so they performed, and they would bring like artists. It was like during homecoming week, and they would bring artists and people would come up there and perform and stuff. And I remember this guy, he came up and he actually knew people. And he was like, "Hey man, I want to sign you guys." And he was talking to them, and he was like, "Man, you guys need a songwriter. Who your songwriter gonna be? Who you gonna have do this for you?" All of them said my name unanimously. They was like, "Anthony, we gotta get Anthony." And they told me about it, and it was like, he want us to move to Atlanta, and we need to move to Atlanta, bro. So we all moved to Atlanta for the summer. I wrote a whole album for them. I was writing for other people, a lot of artists that people know now. I was coming up with stuff for them. I was told that I was gonna be writing for them. I was doing all these things, but long story short, it flunked out. We went back to school. I ended up being their manager. Then I ended up being in the group because one of the group members left. Now I was actually in what I was leading or being a part of. I was actually in it now. And it's like after that, that's when life just got worse. I actually moved to Atlanta. We moved back to Atlanta because we was told that Rick Ross was gonna sign us, and if we came, because we're good now, we got all the stuff we need, got all the voices we need, all the music we need, everything that we got. We went down there and we didn't get a call from the person. They didn't even call us for like 6 whole months, and we was trying to reach out to them, trying to get studio sessions booked, trying to do all these things, and really like just going off of a dream. That turned into us just doing it on our own. Saying, man, we ain't working with you no more. We just gonna do it on our own. We'll pay our own studio. We start paying another guy to make our songs. I was still writing. We were still trying to perform, still trying to get connected with people and stuff, but it just didn't work out. And it just got even worse. Even worse. To continue smoking, continue drinking, continue doing this, doing that, and then the group officially broke up. I was so focused on getting with somebody because I just wanted to be with somebody. And on top of that, before I was in college, God told me there was a guy who prophesied to me at church, and he was like, "Man, a woman's gonna come into your life, and you're gonna do great things and all these things." And I was just always asking God, like, "Who is it? Where is it, Lord?" Like, even though I was getting high and I was drinking, I was doing all this stuff. I didn't even know how far away from the Lord I actually was. It was a lot of mixture. And I remember my friend was saying, "Man, this girl need a place to stay." But bro, like, you could finally get some. You know what I'm saying? You can, you could probably, you just try her, bro. Like, if she in your bed, you know what I'm saying? Just try her. Like, but she gonna be sleeping in your room. And I'm like, no, bro. I'm not letting her sleep in my room. I'm not letting her sleep in my room. She's sleeping in your room. You keep that. And so she goes in his room. She sleeps in there. Then all of a sudden, he somehow coerced me to get her to sleep in my room. I don't know if I was just in need or if I was going through something, but I think he was saying that somebody else wanted to come and he don't want her in his room while he got some other girls coming through because it's gonna mess up his vibe or whatever. And I was just trying to be nice, and I'm like, yeah, she can sleep in my room, just let her stay in my room. And I met her. She was real pretty. I was like, "Look, I ain't gonna touch you. I ain't gonna try nothing. You can sleep here. You just need a place to stay for a while. Do what you do. This time I work. It's time you work." And I remember I kind of secretly liked her a little bit. Like, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to, I was hoping that I could do something. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, how am I going to approach this girl? You know what I'm saying? And so we had like this little pool area. And when I was out there and I heard her on the phone and she was talking about her birthday was coming up. She was talking about like, "Man, if I could just get some forces Like, I really need some shoes. Like, girl, you don't even know. She on the phone. She talking to her, but I'm ear hustling, trying to see, like, what she doing or what she talking about. And, I'm listening. I'm just like, man, yeah, she needs some shoes. I was like, man, I'm going to buy that girl some shoes. She don't even know it. She don't even know what I'm finna do. I literally drove to the mall. I went to the mall. And I bought this girl some ice white forces. Brought them to the house. And I was holding them behind my back. And I was just like, yo, I did something for you. But don't get scared. Don't think I'm weird. Cause dudes be giving girls stuff all the time, and they just be like, I don't accept that. Like, you weird. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, bro, don't be thinking I'm weird, bro. Like, this ain't no. I ain't trying to do nothing. I just want to be nice. And I pulled out the shoes, and this girl started crying. She was so excited that I got her those shoes. She couldn't even believe it, bro. She hugged me for like a very long time, like an abnormal long time. She hugged me, and I just was thinking, man, this girl probably just need to be loved. You know what I'm saying? I could probably be the good guy again. I'm having all these hopeful thoughts and thinking she gonna be this, and thinking maybe I could talk to her, and you know what I'm saying? Maybe this is working up. And then my friend egging it on, bro. You bought her some shoes, nigga. You about to get that, bro. You should never did that, bro. You don't even understand. She about to love you. And I'm just like, okay, I let it get in my head. Days go on. I have bad days at work. I'm sitting here thinking about life, doing all these things. And it was her birthday. But that night, me and the other guy, we went out to the club because we always went to the club. We went to the club. And so, I'm thinking this girl possibly like me. I might have a chance tonight. I'm at the club. I'm a little tipsy, got a little drink. And I come in the house. And I noticed that my door is closed. We have them doors where you can lock it from the other side, but, my door was at the end of the hall. And I just remember seeing my door closed, and I was like, man, like, why is my door closed? Like, okay, I'm thinking maybe she in there getting dressed. That's what I'm thinking. So I go and I knock on the door, and I'm like, bro, don't be having my door locked. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's crazy. So I knock on the door, and I hear, oh, snap. Oh, shoot. Like, they in there. Of course, they cussing and stuff, but I'm hearing, like, different voices. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, what the heck is going on? So I bang on the door, and I'm like, yo, open the door, bro. She opens the door. Her hair is all crazy. Eyeshadow all blooded out. Lipstick smeared to the side. And this guy is standing there butt naked in front of me. And he's literally butt naked. You know what I'm saying? And I just remember it was a skinny dude, and he butt naked. And I'm just like, bro, this is crazy. Like, this is really crazy. Like, this is happening to me. And I look at my bed, and there's blood on my bed. And in that time frame, like, I don't know what they call it, OnlyFans, and like porn, was happening in actual homes. They was recording it, like people of young age. They was doing it at that time, to get money. And of course, I knew this because I watched porn. You know what I'm saying? I was heavy porn watcher. I thought I had to look a certain way, or you know what I'm saying, have a certain body, that the men had on the videos in order to get a female. I already had insecurities about that. And I thought I wasn't good enough. There were times where I didn't get girls, and I thought maybe it was because of how they saw me, or they thought I was too small or something weird like that. And I just didn't even understand that life, period, because I wasn't fully engulfed in it. I did have some moments where I did things with other girls, but it just never made it all the way to that level. And I thought it was because of me, or because of something that was wrong with me. And like I told you before, the enemy was guiding my life. So he had me in a depressive state while still functioning. And I remember seeing this guy. And this guy, he looked like a porn star. From his body, everything he had, It looked like he had injections and all that. It looked crazy. And I remember standing at the door frozen because there was two guys in there with her. There was another guy. He came out like out of the closet, but he had like this backpack on. And it looked like he was the one recording. And I'm just like, these people just did a porno and shoot in my room. And all I did was let this girl come in the room, and I remember the guy saying to me, "Bro, this your girl? My bad, bro. I didn't know this was your girl. She told me that she told me she didn't have a man, bro. She told me to come here. She just told me to come through. And I came through, bro. We came all the way from, I can't remember where and I think he was just coming to see her for her birthday. I think she knew him or something. I think he came from like New Jersey or something like that. And I'm literally standing there stuck. As this guy's talking to me, I'm looking him dead in the eye, like I want to kill him. You know, I didn't know what I was about to do. I didn't know what I was gonna say. And I remember standing there with my fist balled like this, and I'm blocking the door, and I'm humiliated. Everybody I went to the club with, and then my roommates that stayed in that house, they all outside watching what happened, looking at everything that happened. And I was like, bro, put your clothes on, bro. Put your effing clothes on. That's what I told him. I was so mad. I was so mad, bro. I was like, put your effing clothes on. And I started to talk. And I'm like, really? You effing this nigga in my room and you doing this? I had a crazy mouth back then. And I was just saying all this stuff. And I remember in that moment, the Holy Spirit, the voice of the Lord came. Because I was about to swing on him. I was about to hit him. Right when I was getting ready to hit him, I heard a voice say, let him go. Let him go and don't say nothing. And I was sitting here like, what? Don't say nothing? What you mean don't say nothing? I couldn't believe it. I was like, are you serious right now? Don't say nothing? Why in the world would I not say something, bro? And I remember the dude left. And the other guy I lived with, the guy from the group, he went to go get his gun. He had a gun. And when he went to go get his gun, they put their clothes on and they ran. They ran out the house. They dipped like skedaddled like hyenas on Lion King. Like they was gone. I couldn't even see them no more. As soon as they turned that corner, they was gone. And they ran out the front door and that was it. But she was still in the room. And I remember her laughing. I was in so much hurt. I was depressed. I felt like I was the dumbest person in the world. I felt like nobody would ever love me. I feel like this is how my life is going to be. I feel like I could never trust any woman ever again. Ever again. This is how I felt. And I remember her saying, Anthony, just talk to me. Talk to me, Anthony. Why are you acting like that? Don't be like that. And I'm just grabbing all her stuff slowly and moving it out my room, putting it into her luggage that she had. I just moved all her stuff out gently. And I remember the Lord telling me not to say nothing, not to touch her, don't do nothing. And it was nothing but guys in that, all my roommates. It was all these guys in there. And it was one girl in that whole house. And the Lord was revealing to me that if you say something or if you do something, all of you are going to go to jail. And you don't even know. And it was like he was revealing to me the enemy's plan in that moment. Even in my silence, as I was walking around, grabbing her heels, even she was like, you want your shoes back? Do you want the forces back that you gave me? And I said, no, just keep them, And I grabbed her luggage and I put it outside and she sat outside and she waited for somebody to come get her. And she waited for it had to be about 5 hours. She was outside. We didn't let her back in the house. And she made a comment that she was going to call the cops. because she was like, you guys are being mean, and you guys are, because one of my roommates was cussing her out and getting mad. And I told him, I said, don't let the devil win. I said, don't say nothing. Don't add nothing. Don't do nothing. And he was like, Anthony, that's BS. Like, no, you need to stand up for yourself. I'm sick of this. And I'm like, bro, you're not seeing the trick of the enemy. And it was moments like that where God would come in and tell me things or show me things, and I wasn't even living the way I knew he wanted me to live. But it was like always this certain leading. And I just remember that night after she left, I just sat in my room and I just cried. I cried like crazy. And I told the Lord, I said, God, I'm just going to cry. I'm just going to cry. And I remember I just cried. I just cried for hours. Thought my life was over. I had to wash my covers, had blood on it. It was the worst thing I've ever experienced. And I remember maybe it was the next day or a couple of days, I sat in the bathtub and I prayed and I said, Lord, I really want to change. I don't want to live this way no more. I'm sick of my life. I'm sick of doing these things. I'm sick of living this way. Lord, I need you to help me. And in this moment, it's so crazy because, COVID and all this stuff was going on at this time. And I was going to shoot a music video because I was still doing music. We had broke up the group, but I went into doing music on my own. And I was like, yeah, I still could record. I still do my own stuff. And I was shooting this music video and I paid for it because, we had the CARES Act money coming in with the unemployment. And COVID was going on, but I had all this money. And I was just dropping it on stuff that I wanted to do. And I remember having this video called Shake the Room. And I was going to have all these girls in different rooms, twerking and doing all that stuff. And just going in and having like a sex room for every room. And I was fed up with my life, but I was fed up with struggling financially. And I was like, you know what? I'm just about to go all in. Like, forget it. I had my wrong understanding of God and my wrong understanding of my talent and mixing them together. And I was like, I'm just going to go all in. God, I know you hear me and you talking to me, but like, I'm about to go all in. I'm about to do it for my family, Lord. Like, I'm about to get it. I just remember, mixing it. And on the day we had the music video, the videographer coming in, she's saying, oh yeah, we're going to have this girl in the shower. She's going to be rubbing on you. And we gonna make it work. We're going to make it look fire. We're going to do this. And, I hired girls and everything to come to the video. And the funny thing about it was she was like, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And she was like, okay, so let's go. And out of nowhere, I heard the Holy Spirit say, you bet not do that. You bet not do that. And the voice scared me. And I began to back up. Like in the room, like back up, like, you know what I'm saying? Because I was so worried. I was so scared. And she was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I remember backing up, telling her, I can't do it. I can't do it. And she was like, oh. She's like, it's okay. Like, you can do it. It's good. It's going to be all right. And I said, no. I can't do it. I said, honestly, is there any other way we could do this music video? Like, I just need to see. I need a moment. I need to figure out what I'm about to do. And she was like, you know what? Give me a moment. And I was like, maybe like a party scene or something like that, or just something different other than the rooms with the girls and stuff. And she was like, yeah, we can work out something out. She was like, we can work out something. She's like, let me take a second. You take a second. Go breathe. And then, and so I remember going back to my room, same room that girl did all that stuff in. And I'm sitting there, and one of the guys that was in the video, he had a big old blunt, and it was one of my homies, you know what I'm saying? He brought the blunt in there, and he smoked like half of it, and then he brought it in, he was like, here, bro, just, chill your mind out, bro. You about to do this video here, just go ahead and hit this blunt. And I remember I heard the Lord tell me, don't smoke that blunt before this video, before you shoot this music video. And I'm just like, so smoke it after. He said, don't smoke it before. Because he already knew I was going to smoke it. That's the crazy thing about him. He knows where you are. Even in the midst of everything, where you're at. He knew I was going to smoke it. And I didn't smoke it. I sat there and I just asked God for help. She came back. She said, look, we're going to do this way. And then the Lord gave me an idea for the video. He said, I want you to call it No Distractions. I don't want it to be Shake Up the Room anymore. Call it No Distractions. So the video was for girls twerking in rooms and shake up the room. And then it turned into, this is what distracts you in the club or in the party. Don't focus on this, youth. Like I was talking about, we got to do it for the youth. We got to give something back to give back to the youth. We got to do this. And it's like in the midst of my willingness to go all in, like Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, you know, whoever was famous, the Lord started my calling in the midst of that place. And the crazy thing about it is I didn't even know that this was all happening until later down the line when I actually came out with a gospel album and I was rapping and I was doing all this extra stuff. But it's just like that moment I began to speak to the people in the video about distractions and about COVID and about how Jesus is coming back and how we got to get right and we don't understand where our lives are. And they had their phones out and they was like, bruh, you really should be like a pastor or motivational speaker, bro, because like, bro, you move me with your words. And I'm sitting there like, these people I go to the club with almost every night, like this is crazy. And I'm talking to these people that I invited to things just from the club, people that I know, people that I hired. And they just couldn't believe it. And I began to make music and do gospel music. And I began to make music for the Lord. And the Lord changed my life. And I began to do that type of music. And out of that, COVID, next thing you know, I meet the woman that God brought into my life. The woman that I was during COVID. I had a COVID relationship, y'all. I met this girl. We ended up being together. And the crazy thing about it is I never thought in a million years that it would be this person. I knew this person when she was 3 years old. We grew up, went totally different ways, totally different lives. And that's a whole nother video. You know, we ended up getting married. We ended up doing all these things, and we ended up doing great things as the Lord promised. I moved to Texas. And it's like that life I used to live is no more. I don't even know how I changed and did all these things, but it was nothing but the grace of God. Nothing but the grace of God. His voice led me everywhere I needed to go, everything I needed to do. But it all started with me asking for help. It all started with me asking, you know, for his guidance. Even in the midst, in times where, you know, I never thought he would talk to me. He was speaking. And coming from being a church kid to praying for people, to being in the choir, to switching it up and then going to a whole different route, you know, drinking lean, getting high, doing all these things, you know, it's like he remembered who I was before. Or you know, who I was, that little church boy, his son, that he remembered that person. You know? And it's like, I went through all of that, man. And even though I'm married now, I'm still dealing with dreams and still dealing with, you know, the enemy trying to fight against me, telling me I'm not good enough, telling me I'm a loser, making me, you know, have trust issues, all these things. Because of how I used to be. Because of what used to hurt me. But by the grace of God, I'm here. And I'm still living and I'm still glorifying God. And I'm still praising God. I'm still praying. I'm still seeking the Lord. I'm still I'm still speaking for the Lord. And so, I got on here to share my testimony, not just to overcome the enemy, but to share with you that maybe you're that person hearing that voice that's telling you to do good or telling you to change or telling you to move a different direction. Maybe that's you who was, who experienced divorce as a child and your parents separating. Maybe that's you who's in the club right now. Maybe you're a stripper. Maybe you just a money thrower. You just go to the club, throw money. Maybe you just living life a certain way. You don't understand God. You don't know how to come to God. You don't understand what to do in the life situations that you have. But I just come to encourage you, man, that if that's you, bro, and you know God is real, you got this feeling, and you believe that, not even just a feeling, but it's in your belief, and you couldn't make it through the things you've been through. Some of y'all done been shot at. Some of y'all done been, raped, molested, all kind of things. In a dark place right now, depressed, heart just broken, relationships broken. Some of y'all are in these type of places, and God wants to come into that place. Like I told you, he came in the very place where I was suffering, where I was actually down bad, where I actually lost my mind. That's the place where he met me. It wasn't at church. It wasn't, on this holy, platform. That's not what it was. I didn't have to be clean. He came because I simply asked for help. So if that's you, man, I encourage you today to ask God for help. Asking God for help is praying. God will teach you all those things. But you don't have to, you seriously do not have to keep running from God and trying to figure it out on your own. The closer I got to God, everything came into my life. When I moved to Texas, I got $5,000. And it was some money that they owed me in Atlanta. And when I finally touched down here, Atlanta sent me the money. I was able to get my own apartment. I was living with roommates, as you heard in the story, the whole time. Yeah, thumbs up. I've been living with roommates. I've been I've been just sleeping on the floor. I done been through so many different housing experiences. I even was homeless at a certain time. But as soon as I got closer to God, as soon as he changed my life, he took care of me financially, mentally, physically, everything. You know what I'm saying? I even lost weight. A lot of things happened. And the Lord blessed me to get in a relationship. And now I'm married. And I was looking for all that love in all the wrong places. And God already had somebody prepared for me. And I'm just letting you know that he can do the same thing for you too. It's not just about the things, but it's also about the relationship with him that you gain. You gain a father, you gain a friend, you gain somebody who is there with you when you feel alone, when you don't understand life, when you don't understand why things happen this way, why things happen that way. He is the answer. He has all the answers that you need. I'm telling you, man. If you see this video and that's you, man, and you want help, man, drop it down in the comments. Ask for prayer. I'll be praying for you. Whatever you guys need, man, you can get it from the Lord. You can get it from Jesus Christ. I'm saying this like for real because I felt like a loser. I felt like the person who couldn't fit in. I was trying to do what everybody else was doing. I was trying to be cool. I actually tried things that I never even thought I would try, just to, and I actually was living in it. So there's a time from where I was trying it to where I was actually doing it, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. Sometimes that's you. You live in a certain way every single life, and you're not even questioning about it. If this video is making you say, dang, I wonder if my life is like that, or maybe I'm just trying to be like everybody else. Some people feel like, oh, everybody trying to get like me, bruh. They trying to get like me. Maybe you the ringleader. And God is pulling on you because you're actually a leader for the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things, but I'll tell you right now, man, Jesus is real. And you don't want to miss out on that relationship with him. You don't want to miss out on being connected to him, because if you miss out on being connected to him, you miss out on heaven. And it's not just about heaven or hell. It's about missing out on the relationship that you could have, the peace you could have. A lot of people say, man, I'll get with God when I'm 40 or when I get older. You know what I'm saying? But God, you don't know where he's going to be then. He doesn't work for us. We work with him. You get what I'm saying? We can't just make him do what we want him to do. He made the earth. He made the stars. He made everybody you look at. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we can't just put God in our bag when we want to and just be like, God, you're going to do what I said when I'm ready. Come to God, man. Ask God for help to help you move different ways. You'll see your friends change. You'll see everything come to light. You'll be like, bro, I never knew these people hated me this much. I never knew this because that's what Jesus is. He's light. And he'll shine his light on your situation. And you'll be sitting there wondering, man, I thought I was living it up. But I'm telling you, you can live it up even more than where you are now. Ask God for peace. Ask God for, patience or understanding. Whatever you need for something, I don't care what it's for. You can get it from him. You can get good things from the Lord, because that's what he wants to give you. He'll show you a new way. So I just want to get over here and show that. Hope you guys have a great day. And I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. I know this video was long, but I had to do it. So you guys continue to have a great night, great day whenever you watch this video. And just trust and know that God is going to bless your situation. He's going to bless you so much that you'll have a testimony. All right? I'll see you later. Be safe. Talk to you soon.
So I gotta say thank you.